What's up, guys? So, before we get into this, fair use, you damn bots. And someone told me, commented on one of my videos that there are no meat shortages. Well, then how do you explain meat shortages if there are no meat shortages? Because that looks to me like a meat section with a shortage of meat. So, if only at the retailer, yeah, there's a meat shortage. People are leaving comments on my channel and otherwise saying that meat has gone up in price, that there isn't as much meat available. So if only at the retailer there already is, people are already starting to see shortages. So I don't understand your delusion. Let's look at this.
Well, panic buying and hoarding have become big
This little warehouse here in this story.
problems across the Southland. Tonight, only on 9, Ralph's and Food for Less allowed our cameras inside one of their massive food distribution
center. Is all of that food? I see a whole bunch of toilet paper and other things. I can't really say that this is all food. Most of
centers to show us just how much food there really is.
Where's the food? I see dog food. I see a whole bunch of liquids. That's not food. Oh, there's something in the cans. Okay, so there's some food there. But most of that isn't food. It's not human food.
Is in Southern California. And the message tonight, do not panic.
Oh, flour.
KCAL9's Chris Holmstrom live at a Ralph store in Hollywood with that story you'll only see here on KCAL9. Chris?
Susie, shelves are empty all across this area, and it's causing
That's called a food shortage. If only at the retailer, right?
a lot of people to have stress and anxiety as well. But as you mentioned, you do not need to worry about this because we actually had a first-hand look inside one of the largest food distribution centers in our area. It's scenes like this that are taking place across Southern California. Overcrowded grocery stores like this Stater Brothers in Pasadena. At this Costco in Altadena, lines were around the building. The result? Empty shelves, and it's creating hysteria. At the Ralph's and Food for Less Paramount Distribution Center, all hands are on deck.
Since this started, we've had employees work 12, 16-hour shifts, 6, 7 days, and primarily voluntary.
Vanessa Rosales is the director of...
What do we got here? Huggies, toilet paper, water, drinks, looks like oil. What is that? Maybe some flour or something? Maybe some cookies? Where's the food?
Corporate Affairs for Food for Less. She gave us a tour of the center.
More
There's
toilet
plenty of food to
paper.
go around. We've got it here in the warehouses. We are trying to...
They're talking about food, but they're showing you soft drinks. Oh wait, there's some Cheez-It there in the background, strategically placed. It doesn't look like a whole bunch of food to me.
get it out to our stores and to our customers.
No food.
The center provides...
What's that? Oh, it's one of those old people meal replacement things. Okay? And detergent. I don't see all this food that people are talking about.
It's food to more than 300 stores in the area. Since March 3rd, employees
Toilet
have been
paper.
working non-stop trying to catch up to the food demand. In fact, 120 trucks are going out each day. Before the outbreak, the number was closer to 100. And the most popular item? You guessed it, toilet paper.
I love how that truck had a sign on it that said fresh food. We're not seeing any of that here.
Followed by milk, eggs, rice, and beans.
We're asking you only you buy what you need.
A statement she can't express enough, especially since the food is here.
That's not food. This is liquids.
There's food here. There's food coming into our warehouses. There's food exiting our warehouses. We just need to get it to the stores.
Another concern is people are waiting in lines and not giving nearly enough social distance, making it easier to spread the virus. But the bottom line is grocers want people to quit panicking and cut back on the stockpiling.
So the news keeps scaring people, but they want them to stop panicking. Okay. I don't see any food, do you?
Anything, really check on a neighbor, check on an elderly person who is really at risk right now and see what they need. It really is a time for us to help others in our community.
And keep in mind, it's a trying time for so many grocery
Still no food. Where's the food?
store employees, people who have become real heroes during this coronavirus outbreak.
It's all liquids.
And we're also
Now look, I'm being a bit of a dick, don't get me wrong, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's to make a point. Where's all the fresh food? Where are all the whole foods? Where's the meat? Right? Processed, packaged trash. I mean, I already made my point about that. And this is just proving my point. Now, insofar as meat goes, yes, I'm sure there's a bunch of meat hanging up in various warehouses, coolers. It's curing, meat that was harvested maybe even months ago. I get that. And they're going to distribute that. Take it to these stores eventually. It's going to happen. Yeah, I get it. However, and I really don't understand why this is so difficult to get. If meat processing plants, slaughterhouses are closing, right? Farmers are dumping milk and going out of business, yeah? They're being encouraged to sell or kill their animals, basically. That's what's happening. Of course that's going to create shortages. The shortages are already there. All these people buying all this food, how much of it is going to spoil? They're going to need more food soon. And this is the evil. It just occurred to me as I'm analyzing this whole situation and thinking about it. This is the evil of grain-fed meat. Look, and it kind of makes you wonder how well planned this whole thing was. Especially since all the evidence that it was, it's all out there anyway, right? Do your own research, damn it. But look, a lot of these farmers, they've been feeding their cattle the byproduct of this so-called green fuel. So while all these corporations have been producing these biofuels, right, at a loss, not only financially but to the environment, which never made any sense, right? It wasn't as nowhere near as profitable as petroleum-based gasoline, and it was bad for the environment, just as bad, if not worse, right? And yet they kept pushing it as part of this green revolution, something we needed to do, right? Because it's better for the planet and it's better for everybody. Meanwhile, the byproduct of that was all that meal, corn or whatever, cornmeal that was fed to animals, turned into feed or fed to the animals directly, right? While veganism was trying to obfuscate that link, saying that we just grow grains for the animals, right? And they get whole grains and all that other stuff. Most of that goes to the animals. No, that's not true. That grain was used to produce oil. A lot of it, these biofuels. Okay? And it created this, net grid of interdependence, where if you disrupt one, the other one's going to suffer, as if done by design. So now that people are not allowed to drive, at least not as much, and some people not at all, the demand for biofuel, all kinds of fuel, but these so-called green fuels, which were again produced at a loss, and it didn't make sense to do this economically or for the environment. It didn't. Now that demand is probably hit rock bottom and no one's buying that trash, they're not processing anymore of this corn to make this fuel, right? And if they're not doing that, there's going to be less feed for these animals. And if there's less feed for the animals, there's less meat for the human animal. So simply, this is how interconnected and fragile and, in my opinion, designed to fail this whole agricultural system was. By simply disrupting, telling people that they can't drive or not as much, and plummeting the demand for these shit fuels that weren't good for us in the first place. With one fell swoop, you destroyed the food supply for a lot of these grain-fed animals. And I'm sure there are lots of other links like this, the repercussions of which will take time for you to feel. Okay, so just because the news is telling you that there is more meat for now in the warehouse that will be delivered, and it's panic buying that's created these shortages, that very well may be true, and I believe that it is. But again, it's these repercussions that will reverberate through the food production system chain, the effects of which you're going to feel down the line, the effects of which will continue to be produced because people will continue to be scared to go to work, to drive, to transact. It's going to take time for that to manifest itself. And when it does, it's not going to be pretty. And the longer this continues, the worse it's going to be. So,
top story, supplies full.
I'm no economist, okay? But to completely ignore what's happening and act like this is not going to affect you in any way, shape, or form, that's just fucking dumb. That's just straight up fucking dumb, all right? That's my video. Thanks for watching.